Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. I was sitting up here early in the morning. It's about almost 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. Chicago time, but it's 7 a.m. on the East Coast, and I was just sort of up working through some stuff and going through talking to my team and getting ready for work today. It's kind of funny because today's Father's Day, and everybody thinks I'm supposed to be chilling, but I don't. There's not really a day that I really feel the need to chill because if you really love what you do, you're not gonna feel like you have to walk away from your work in order to have a good day or a good life. Hey, how you doing, Tammy Boyd and Dual Victory? Good to see both of you. And My Art, My Life, 2114. Endless Enterprise. Are you opening one in DC or Maryland? We are going to look into getting an office in DC. I think what you're asking about is we're sort of on this expansion quest with the Black Business School. We found an office space that we really like in Chicago that we're hoping to obtain. That's I think around 58th Street, something like that, right near the freeway. It's a great location. Lots of Black people there. Lots of people that a mix group of Black people in terms of those who are in the struggle and those who can teach others to get out of the struggle. So it's perfect. It's actually the Harold Washington building that we're looking to obtain, and so we're very excited about that being one of the first headquarters for the Black Business School. We already have an office space down in Louisville, Kentucky, in the old Central High School. Which was attended by Muhammad Ali and my grandmother, so I'm excited about that. I'm gonna go take a look at that this week, and we've already looked at it, but I'm gonna go down there and actually talk Turkey a little bit more with Simmons College of Kentucky, which is a place that's we're actually partnering with on some of this. And then also in Atlanta, there's a space that we really like. So we're really trying to get physical locations for the Black Business School. We want to do a few things there. We want to actually hold, of course, teach classes there. We want to have networking events there for entrepreneurs where they can come together and do business with each other. We're also looking to hold live events, social events, everything from events that include music and food to showing Black films to teaching classes to networking to shooting films to just all kinds of stuff we want to do there. The goal when you get a space like that is you want to utilize it as much as possible so that you can make it profitable enough for you to continue to operate. And so, a lot of the stuff that we do will be free, but a lot of the stuff won't be free because if it costs thousands of dollars to create something, you can't give it all away for free. At the same time, everything will be affordably priced for anybody who wants to find a low-cost way to improve their lives. I think personally that a lot of people overspend for college information and education, and I think that there are ways to have high-quality faculty available to people without paying just $50,000 a year and all this other craziness. And I've taught on university campuses for over 24 years, so I know that the faculty are not worth that much money. I just think that it's kind of atrocious. It's a crime. A lot of people are going deep in debt. They can't get out. So we can help you get a quality education without going deep in debt. And most of what we focus on, though, is building. We focus on those. We can teach you how to get jobs and fill out resumes and all that, but really we're actually going to encourage you to see the job as a stepping stone to what you want to do, not as the direct thing or the be all end all. Getting a job is not the be all end all of economic success. In fact, it's disappointing or sad that so many people are only taught how to get a job when the people making the real money are the people who are actually able to create industry and things like that. Anyway, let me let me get off that soapbox now because I came here to even talk about something totally different. But before I forget, if you're on social media anywhere and you have a way to share, like, follow, or anything like that, please take a second and hit that button. YouTube, please make sure you subscribe. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, write this down. You can go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins, drboycewatkins.net. You can not only get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, but you can get a free wealth building lesson that'll help you begin your wealth building journey. And as you guys heard me talk about on The Breakfast Club and some other shows, I think every Black child in America should understand how to start a business. Every Black person in America should know the basics of financial literacy by teaching very basic basic concepts. There are about 10 things I could teach you that would put you ahead of most of the American people when it comes to financial literacy. If I can get 20 million black people to hear me out on this, I guarantee you it'll change our community for not just this generation, but many generations in the future. So get started for free. Go to drboycewatkins.net and you get a free e-copy of the book as well as a free wealth building lesson. And also don't forget, I'll be in Philadelphia the weekend of July 7th. So if you're down in Philly or something like that, you can do that. Dual Victory is asking, can you make me a moderator on YouTube? I'm not actually live on YouTube right now, so sorry, sister. Once I go live on YouTube, I'll make you a moderator. Right now, I'm recording the video on my computer, and I'm going to load it to YouTube. So that's how it's all getting done. Here's what I wanted to kind of talk about today, real quick. I wanted to kind of jump into this story I read on AL.com. I guess that stands for Alabama. It's about a football player named Trent Richardson. Trent Richardson, he was an All-American at Alabama, and he got drafted in the 2012 draft. He got a good contract, $20 million guaranteed, which means he had good negotiators to set him up with a good deal. Well, you know, the challenge for Trent was that Trent was apparently on ESPN. ESPN loves to talk about athletes that go broke because there's just so many of them. They love to kind of almost make black people kind of this laughing stock of the rest of the world, because they say, wow, you know, look at these guys. All they want to do is bling, and they want to, you know, people don't use the word bling anymore, do they? But all they want to do is shine and have all this money and throw money up and just act a fool with it and buy Gucci and all that stuff. And then let's see what happens in the aftermath. Now, I'm not going to say for a fact that this happens with the majority of the athletes or all the athletes in general. I don't believe that. Also, you got to remember that a lot of these guys are very, very young. You give any 21-year-old, 23-year-old, you know, $10 million a year, it's going to get crazy, right? I mean, including myself. I don't know what kind of man I would have been if I'd been given millions of dollars at the age of 23. Everybody at that age, I think, has some maturing to do. Everybody does. So it's not a matter of me ridiculing these guys when they go broke. I don't think you should make fun of them, but I think we can learn from this, because as they say, to whom much is given, much is required. Or as Spider-Man's uncle used to say, great power comes with great responsibility. So effectively what can occur in a lot of cases, like what happened with Trent, is that you get that big NFL contract. And what happens is, and this is something everybody needs to know, you need to share this video with anybody in your family that you think is going to have some money. When you get money, you become a fucking target. You become a target of every person within a 300-mile radius with any kind of sob story that you can imagine. Every person that's got any kind of financial problem, any kind of issue, any kind of challenge, they gonna come at you. Especially if they tag you as a nice guy. If they think that you are a nice person, then they will come at you and they will play on your sympathy, play you like a flute, and get that money out of you. Now, it's not to say that they're all trying to be manipulative or exploitative. That's not it. I think a lot of these people really don't understand. It's almost like how, I'm trying to think about environmentalism, right? Most of the people who are polluting the environment aren't thinking, okay, I want to destroy the environment. I want to destroy the ozone layer. Let me put some more, CO2 in the air so I can make the earth die, right? They're not thinking that, right? Or people that go to a rainforest and they chop down a tree, they're not thinking, oh, well, I want to destroy this rainforest because this rainforest ain't shit. They're not thinking that. They're thinking, I just need a tree, and this rainforest has plenty of trees, so who cares if I take one tree? It's not a big deal. But what happens is millions and millions of people take down millions and millions of trees. Next thing you know, the rainforest is gone, right? Or, you know, millions of people put CO2 in the air. Next thing you know, the earth is dying because the ozone layer can't take all of that. Or people throw their garbage, their toxic waste into the river, into the ocean. Nobody thinks really about what's going to happen to the ocean. Nobody's thinking about the river being polluted. You're just thinking, oh, I just got to get rid of my stuff. The river's big. The river can take my little bucket or whatever, right? And that's kind of what happens. Like you end up, when you're seen as a force, as some sort of force, economic force, environmental force, or whatever force it is, you're seen as that person or that thing that is is doing so well that you can absorb almost any degree of what's the word? What word am I looking for? what's the word? Not, they call them leeches, but not leeches. It's parasites. Parasites, but not in a bad way. But what does a parasite do? A parasite needs resources, so the parasite attaches itself to something that has the resources, and it sucks it out like little insects sucking sap out of a tree or something like that. So what happens is that when people think you're doing well, you attract parasites. You attract those who are eating off of you, right, for their own survival. Now, the reason that that's hard to do in the black community is because there are a whole lot of people that either really are struggling, really think that they're struggling even though they're not, or they put themselves in the struggle with bad financial habits, right? So you got all of that. You got some people that are just legitimately straight up struggling. I'm out here hustling. I'm working 40 hours a week, and I still can't pay even the basics in my life. Even though I don't go to the movies, I don't buy fancy shoes, I don't go out to dinner, I don't go on vacation, I don't buy a car I can't afford, or I don't go to the mall and go shopping. I still am in the struggle because minimum wage is too low and I'm just not prepared to take care of myself, whatever. Okay, you got a lot of people in that category, but then you got a lot of people who either trick away their money, they spend it all up. And what they'll do is they'll come beg you to help them take care of the bills that they could have taken care of had they not wasted their money. I see that all the time. I'll see people that will say, if you say to them, hey, there's an after school program for your children that costs $80, you should sign your child up for that. They'll say, oh, I can't afford that. $80 is too much. That's just too much. But that same person, you'll see them go to the store and go buy a new iPhone for $200 or $300, or you'll see them go to the store and go buy the outfit that they want, or you see them go to the club, or you'll see them go see a new movie with their family and drop $70 at the movie theater, or whatever it is, right? People will spend on what they want, and then sometimes they'll come beg for what they need. Or you'll see guys who say they can't pay their child support, but a lot of times the reason they can't pay their child support is because when they got their check, they spent their money on stuff that didn't matter. They might have spent their money trying to impress some girl, or maybe trying to look fly, or whatever. A lot of people want to look fly, so a lot of people end up going broke because of that. So effectively, what happens is when you get some money, and I'm just telling this to anybody who ever wants to go out here and get some money. When you get money, every person who needs more money or who wants to live a better lifestyle is going to look at you as an opportunity. So if you are a guy, you got to be cautious, because the women, you will suddenly, when I had a little bit of money, I'm not even going to put my business out here in the street. I'm not trying to get into all that. When I had a little bit of money, I suddenly became an incredibly handsome man. I became far more handsome when I had money than I was when I was broke, when I was homeless, when I was struggling, when I was driving a hoopty, right? I had girls make fun of my car back in the day, and then now, and that's funny, now I don't even have a car because I think a car is a waste of money. I just take Ubers and stuff like that. But literally, you find that the way people see you when they see that you have some resources they need is very, very different. It's easy to make friends when you have money, but unfortunately, they're not really your friends, but they're not enemies either. They're not bad people. They're just people who feel that they need stuff. They sort of feel caught in the struggle. Whereas what you notice is that when you really analyze financial problems, a lot of financial problems are actually self-inflicted. A lot of them are, not all of them, but many of them are. You'll see where a lot of people, for example, if let's say I grow up and I'm not making as much money as I want to make. My job ain't paying me what I want it to pay me. And I could say, well, it's hard out here because I'm only making this much money. Well, somebody could easily say, well, if your parents had taught you how to start a business at an early age, you'd probably be making more money. Or if you had decided to go to school a little bit longer, your income would be higher. So why did you drop out of school when you had a chance to get a better education, to get a higher paying job, right? A lot of people don't see it that way. They see it as, look at my situation. It's really, really hard. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I didn't do anything. I did all the good things that happened to me. I take full credit for those, but a lot of people won't take credit for the bad things that happened to them. And the thing is, if you're going to take credit for the good things you did in your life, you must also take credit for the bad things that have happened in your life as well. So a lot of people will just say, I don't know why. I'm just 38 and I'm only making, $12 an hour. It's hard out here in the struggle. Yes, it is, but sometimes you got to retrace the steps of your life. And this is not just for you, it's for your kids too. And you got to figure out, okay, at what turn could I have possibly created a better life? At what turn could I have maybe gone to school a little longer? Maybe instead of chilling, I could have spent my time opening books. Maybe when somebody like Dr. Boyce, some nerdy guy like Boyce, came up and said, hey black man, go start a business, man. Go start a business. That way you can have economic freedom. Why didn't I listen? Why did instead I go to worldstarhiphop.com instead of going to some website where I can learn how money works, where I can learn how wealth building works, right? So Again, point blank period. This is real straightforward. This is simple stuff. This is ABC 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 1 is 2. Look, if you wanna get ahead in this world, you got to embrace knowledge and learning and information. If you don't embrace knowledge, learning, and information, then you're not going to get ahead. Also, if you're going to take accountability for the good things you did and the good outcomes, you must also take accountability for the bad outcomes. You know, you got to take responsibility. So, long story short, you know, I will say this: when you are a person who does make all the right decisions, when you are a person who positions yourself in a certain way, you're going to attract a lot of pity parties. A lot of people will camp out in your living room and have a whole pity party right there in front of you because they're going to be looking at you to be the financial superhero. And also in many cases, not all, but a lot of these cases, these are people where you'll think back and you'll be like, well, wait a minute, dude, you had a lot of opportunities to do good things in your life. And when I talked to you about doing those good things, putting in the extra work, you didn't want to put in the work. Or when I talked to you and told you, like, hey, man, well, you know, if you keep on messing with all these girls and getting them pregnant, the child support is going to be a bitch. It's going to be a motherfucker paying all that damn child support. You don't want to hear that. You was just thinking about the pussy. And let's just be real. I'm being 100%. Y'all, if y'all know me, y'all know I just tell the truth. For real. Like, how many guys do you know where when they talking about going to have sex with some girl, all they thinking about is the sex. Then 2-3 years later, they up there crying, I can't pay the child support. Oh my God. And I'm not making fun of anybody, especially not on Father's Day. It's Father's Day. So let's just, you know, I'm going to keep it more positive on that tip. But I swear, I was sitting here, I would hear somebody tell me like, well, Boyce, you know, the reason I'm struggling, man, is because, you know, I got these babies' mamas, they driving me crazy, man. I don't know what to do. And I'll be like, man, like why wouldn't, did you know they sell condoms down the street for about like $8 for a whole pack? You get like a big pack, about 12 for $8. But now you're going to spend $100,000 or $50,000 in child support, whatever it is, because you didn't buy some $8 condoms. Well, I mean, I don't control your dick. I can't do that. That's not my job. And I don't want to control your dick. But my God, like, if you want the freedom to do what you want, then you must take the responsibility of enduring the consequences of the choices you made. And it's just logic. It's straight logic. But what the problem is that we don't really live in a world where personal responsibility is discussed or celebrated. People think that if you talk about personal responsibility, you're being mean. You're being nasty to people. You're being unfair. And because we know that it's not his fault that he had those 8 kids with those 6 women. Somebody grabbed his penis in the middle of the night and made him make those babies. Okay, whatever. I don't get it. So anyway, I just think about this as I'm thinking about this Trent Richardson thing. This story I was just reading about this poor brother, and he's not in that category. He ain't got a bunch of babies and all that, so I ain't putting that on Trent at all. Actually, Trent seems like an intelligent guy, and I'm gonna tell you why he seems intelligent. He seems like a young person who made a mistake, but I think that what he went through is something that everybody can learn from. Oh, give me a second. I'm sorry, I'm gonna turn it off. But by the way, before I move on, in case you just tuned in, I'm talking about you know, financial decisions and this Trent Richardson story. And also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Also, if you are interested, we teach a lot about financial literacy, etc., wealth building, cooperative economics, entrepreneurship. Feel free to check out our programs. We have programs for kids as well at blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. And also, don't forget, I'll be in Philadelphia the weekend of July 7th. If you want to know more, you can go to drboycephiladelphia.com. That's drboycephiladelphia.com. So anyway, let me hop in here and drill into this whole Trent Richardson thing, because I don't want to get on a soapbox where I'm preaching at people. But I will say that, you know, I remember when I was 19, and maybe only certain people have these insights. I don't know. I don't like to sit here and think that I'm smarter than everyone else, but I did go to school a long time, so maybe I am. But here's the thing. I remember talking to a dude on the football team, and this guy, you know, he was mad at me because I was gonna pledge Omega Psi Phi, believe it or not, and I was invited to join all the fraternities. I just didn't choose any of them. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't, you know, giving you a whole bunch of money so you can beat my ass for 6 weeks. It just did not compute. I couldn't understand that. I was like, wait a minute, so I'm gonna pay you money so you can pull me out of bed in the middle of the night and torture the hell out of me and ruin my GPA. I'll pass on that, you know. And so anyway, I chose not to pledge. And because the guy, I mean, the Q dogs on my campus were just a bunch of assholes at the time. I ain't gonna lie, not all of them, but a lot of them were just guys that just did stuff that didn't make any sense. They would drink all day and all night and have sex with all these girls off the street and wasn't doing no studying. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing Omega Psi Phi, but these guys, again, with me being a kid, 19 years old, I just looked at that and said, this is not how a man's supposed to live his life. You know, my daddy was a real man who taught me a lot of things about responsibility. And I remember thinking, if you're drinking every day, you're going to become an alcoholic and your kids are not going to respect you. And if you're sitting around and you're not using your educational opportunities, then you're going to be a bum. You're going to be out here struggling. Like, I don't want to struggle. I want to be ahead. I ain't got no money right now. But I told this guy was really mad at me. Because at the last minute, I told him, I said, I'm not pledging, man. I don't want nothing to do with that bullshit y'all doing. You know, and he got really mad at me and was, you know, talking shit. I thought he was going to beat me up, to be honest with you. He was big. He was a football player. He was like 6'5", 200-something pounds. And sometimes my mouth gets away from me. My mouth says things that I can't back up with my ass. Like, this guy was literally twice. I felt like he was twice my size. And I remember I said to him, I said, you're not even a real black man. I said, you know, look at the way you live in your life. I said, you run around here with all these nasty women and you up here getting drunk and high every day, like, and you're not using your opportunities. I said, we have an opportunity to get an education, man. Like I said, why, you know, this is not the way a black man's supposed to live. This was before I really became more conscious. And, you know, as a young man, I wasn't conscious yet. You know, I had to grow into that. And he was like, well, you know, he's like, man, well, you still a pussy, you a pussy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, okay, I might be a pussy. I said, but here's the thing. I said, I'm going to use my opportunities right now to build a better life for myself. And I said, and one day, some nigga just like you, this is how I said, some nigga just like you, when I'm about 40, he's going to look at me, he's going to get mad at me because I got money and he doesn't, or I'm successful and he's not. When really we have the same opportunities, it's just he threw his opportunities away. And that's exactly what I told him. He said, well, I'm going to be fine because I'm going to go to the NFL. And I was like, I don't know. I haven't checked, but how many players from the University of Kentucky football team go to the NFL? You know, I mean, really, how many NFL All-Stars do you know from the University of Kentucky, right? I'm sitting there like, really, dude? Like, you really think, you know, you play in the University of Kentucky, you're not even a star, and you really think you're going to live off the NFL? And so a lot of these guys just get deluded. I mean, I think that maybe if you're like all city or something, like you're all city in Tuscaloosa, Alabama or something, like you really think that being all city makes you like good enough to go to the NFL. Well, it doesn't. And even if you get to the NFL, do you understand just how horrible that is, how horrible of a life that is? I know people who have either played in the NFL. I know a person very well who was married to a man in the NFL, and she said that life is not a fun life. She said they give you money and they control you. They tell you what to do, when to eat, when to get up. You're busy all the time. You got to take drugs just to stay on the field. And these guys become desperate. When they can't play anymore, they become so desperate and end up, you know, doing whatever they can to please Massa enough that Massa will give them another opportunity. The NFL is a white man's league. That's all it is. The NFL is a white man's league, and they control black men like the way you control field monkeys to make them do what you want them to do. They got you out here looking like motherfucking mules and horses, where you're hauling, instead of hauling, you know, wheat or something off the farm, you're hauling their money. You're hauling them buckets of money by getting out there, giving yourself brain damage and damn near killing yourself and risking paralysis and all this other stuff just to make these people happy. And then when the career is over, these poor guys, they end up they broken down, busted up, 35 years old, you walking like you're 72 years old, brain damage, can't remember your kids' names. Well, I've heard football players tell me they can't even remember how to they will randomly forget how to get home to their house after they leave somewhere. So they look strong, right? They look healthy. They look like they're really in good shape on the outside, but on the inside, some of these guys are going through hell. Some of these guys are going through hell. Dave Durson, I knew people that knew him. Dave Durson played for the Chicago Bears, and he was the NFL Man of the Year. And poor Dave, he oh, that's Alicia back there. She just came home, so she's waving hello. She just went running. You went, yeah. Dr. Alicia McLaughlin. What did you?
The humidity.
The humidity?
You can cut it with a knife. It's terrible.
You can cut the humidity with a knife. So anyway, all right. So Dave Durson was like the NFL Man of the Year, and Dave was a brilliant guy. He was a straight A student in college. He was like on the honor roll and all this other stuff. And and it was unfortunate because Dave was suffering from brain damage, and Dave ended up shooting himself in the head. Sorry, in the chest. He shot himself in the chest because he couldn't take it anymore. And he asked them. Dave had a great future too. Dave was very smart. He was starting businesses, all that. And Dave ended up after that, he ended up having his brain, like he wrote a note to his family, like, please have them open up my brain so they can look at it and see what's going on, because I can't sleep, I forget everything. He had all these real serious problems. He was depressed, all this other stuff. And he ended up, it turned out that he had severe brain damage. And here was a guy who looked good on the outside, who was trying to hold it together, but he was losing it because his head had taken so many cracks during all those years he played professional football, that that he was pretty much done. If he continued to live, then by the time he was 40 something, he would have Alzheimer's. He'd have the brain of an 82-year-old man. So what I'm just trying to say is that the NFL ain't what it's cracked up to. The NFL is a horrible death trap for a lot of these poor guys, and I hate being the guy to say that. I mean, I grew up loving football. I wanted to be a professional football player. I enjoy I respect the competition of it. I think you learn a lot about courage and hard work and discipline and dedication. And I know there's probably a lot of guys out here that maybe coach football that are mad at me right now for even saying this. But the facts don't lie. The data does not lie. If you go look and you look at the evidence and the information, it pretty much says that a lot of these guys that go to the NFL are not happy that they went. I met a guy named what was his name? Oh goodness, I can't remember his name. He played for Indiana. He was like an all-star in Indiana, and he ended up playing at the Pittsburgh Steelers and did really well for them. And I think it's Antoine Randall L. I believe that was his name. Yeah, and I met him, and I remember he told me about a lot of his friends that would just do really strange things because their brains had been damaged so badly from football. And then later on, I read an article in USA Today where Antoine literally said, "I wish I had never played football." That's a pretty serious statement from a guy who was all pro, who achieved the American dream. So anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about. We were talking about Trent Richardson, and Trent was in on ESPN, and he mentioned that he had family members that basically screwed him over financially. I don't know if he says that they were trying to be bad people, but here's what he said. He said that he okay. So after he was drafted, he got the $20 million guaranteed contract, and he said in 2015. Think about this. Now, this guy was an All-American, one of the best players in the country. And so it's funny when I see these little guys that are you're playing for Wichita State, and you really think you're gonna make it to the NFL. This guy was literally NCAA champion and a star on that team. And by 2015 he got cut. And when he got cut, that gave him a chance to kind of take a snapshot of his life and kind of see like where things are in his life financially. And he said, here's what he found. He said he found that he had 11 Netflix accounts and 8 Hulu accounts, all in his name. He had bottle service in his name at clubs, even though he does not drink. He does not drink. And Negroes were literally putting his name on the bottle service. Like I want the finest Cristal. See, this is that dumb shit you get from hip hop. Like, what in the hell, man? Like, why can't he have some real estate in his name? No, he got bottle service in his name, where you giving money out to white folks so you can sit there and be cool at the club. Like, who taught you that this even makes any sense? This is not logical. This is crazy. So anyway, he said that basically his family and friends had spent $1.6 million of his money, and he didn't even know it. They were literally going up in his bank account and making it rain with money that wasn't even theirs. And so here's what he said. He said, quote, "I finally just looked at my bank statement and I was like, where did this come from? Where did that come from?" He said, and my guy was sitting there telling me, "Man, we was telling you." He said, I know he was telling me, but that's like telling a kid to stop running in the hall. I don't know what that means. He says, "They're going to still do it when you turn your back or leave." Okay, so he's saying that even if he tells them to stop, that they're going to keep on going. Okay, all right, maybe, but I mean, you got to protect your money. It's just one of those moments to where I was just blinded by my heart, by loving everybody and thinking that everybody was for me. I know they love me. I know they do care, but at the time they took advantage of it. And I think that's a very profound, thoughtful statement that he just made on that, because here's the thing. This is what you got to understand. A lot of people say, that, if you get some money or whatever, you got to protect yourself from all the people that want to come and hurt you. But the problem with that is that most of the people who come and hurt you are people who love you. They're not really trying to hurt you. Just like when I was saying earlier, like, if I put pollution in the air, I'm not trying to destroy the ozone layer. I'm just trying to get what I need. And I'm like, the ozone layer is big. The ozone layer ain't gonna care if I put a little more carbon in the air, or if I dump some toxic waste in the river. The river is big. The river isn't gonna be destroyed because I put a little stuff in the water, right? So ultimately, a lot of times people don't deliberately think, okay, I'm gonna tear this person up. I care nothing about this person. A lot of times they're just like, hey, I'm struggling and you're doing all right, so I could use a little bit of help right now. And that's why, for example, in the Black Wealth Bootcamp, I'm constantly telling my students that one of the rules of cooperative economics, of building strong economic communities in your family and in the Black community in general, is to stop allowing anybody to believe that they should be a freeloader. Stop letting people gain a freeloader mindset. That's what we call the free rider effect. That's what they call it in economics. The free rider effect is when you think that you have nothing to contribute and therefore you end up leeching off other people. Or like how when Michael Jordan played basketball, sometimes Jordan would score so many points, the other players would just stand there and watch. No, you can do something. You can go box somebody out. You can go and make yourself open. You could go set a pick. You could do something to help Jordan score points. You're not supposed to just sit there and watch. You're not a fan. You are a player in the game. A lot of your families, you have people in your own family who do the exact same thing. You probably have relatives who literally think they have nothing that they can contribute, so they're taken from everybody else. They feel a sense of entitlement, like, mama, can you loan me some money? Daddy, I need money for this. Hey sis, can you hook a brother up? No, especially for you men. Seriously, what kind of man are you? Who removed your testicles and shoved them up your ass? Because I'm gonna tell you, at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a real man who's going around borrowing and bumming off other people and never bringing something back. You can help out. You can go cut the grass. You can help chip in on the rent. You can go clean up the garage. You can do something. When you get your check, you can contribute to the family household. Never, ever believe that you have nothing to contribute, even with somebody who's doing well. Just as a sense of dignity, as a sense of just pride as a man. My God, what, are you really going to let your woman pay all the bills and you not add anything of value to the household? That's pathetic. That's truly pathetic. So if you are that kind of man and your woman's doing everything, don't be surprised if you come home and she's got somebody else in your bed because you did not earn it, because you're not a real man. I'm sorry, point blank. I just have to say it like that. So, and the same thing is true for women who do the same thing. So don't think I'm letting women off the hook, because it's true for everybody. At the end of the day, because in fact, what happens with young ladies sometimes is we'll raise our daughters with this daddy's little girl thing going on, right? Where daddy's little girl ain't got to do nothing. Daddy's little girl can be 30 years old letting her parents pay the rent. No. I don't do that with my girls. I tell them, like, okay, you want me to help you out financially? Well, what are you going to do to help yourself? What are you going to, let's go see Wonder Woman. If you need some empowerment, we'll go see Wonder Woman and this fantasy, it's a fantasy type thing, but you see all these women that are going out throwing spears and killing animals and doing what they got to do to make it. Let's go watch Wonder Woman so we can learn that as a girl, you are not disabled, because we teach a lot of our young girls to be handicapped from an early age, and it causes them to feel unempowered when it comes to taking care of themselves. So at the end of the day, this is not a male thing. It's not a female thing. It's a people thing. So basically, at the end of the day, what I'm saying to you is that this is what happens to these athletes like Richardson. They get hit with relatives who truly think there ain't nothing I can do for him, but he can do a whole lot for me. And what they do is they'll dump their sob story on him, and it'll be 500 here, a couple thousand there, 10,000 here. Hey man, I always wanted to start this liquor store, or I always want to start this business, and they will assume that he's the one that needs to put all the money in. So the business costs 20,000 to get off the ground. Well, of course, you're the millionaire, so you're going to put up the whole 20,000. When really what it should be is maybe he puts up 16 and you put up the other 4. You carry your weight. You carry your weight. You bring something to the table. You say, hey, Trent, you loan me that money. Hey, is there something I can do for you? Let me know what I can do for you. Because you cannot sit here and think that there's nothing you can do for this man. I can come work for you for free. But what you'll find, too, this is another thing you'll find when you get money, is that the people who were borrowing or who were bumming from you the most will be the last motherfucker standing there when you really need help. They will be the last people showing up when you go broke. They literally, the parasite mind has taken over to the point where they're like, oh well, this I've sucked all the life out of this tree. I gotta go find another one. Right? That's what will happen. A lot of those same people who were right up in your face when you were doing well and you had money, those people won't pick up the phone when you're struggling. Those people won't offer you any support when you really need help. And so effectively, and here's the other thing too that's really difficult, is that when you become the person that has the most money, you don't usually have anybody. You have a whole bunch of people. You'll have about 20 people that can come to you when they need help. But the question is, who do you have to go to when you start struggling? What happens to Trent if Trent goes broke? Trent ain't got nobody. Trent probably, I doubt if Trent, I mean, when you make 20 million, when you got a $20 million contract, you create, you sometimes, if you're not careful, you can create major debts and major financial obligations that become so big that nobody around you can really help you solve those problems. Trent can't go to a friend and say, hey man, can I borrow $3 million so I can cover these debts and this child support and all these other things I got to deal with? He can't do that. So what people like Trent have to understand, some of you are the Trent Richardsons of your own family. Some of you are the person, maybe you're the doctor, the lawyer, the entrepreneur, maybe you're the person who has a fancy corporate job and you're making all the money. What you are is you're what I call a financial tent pole. A financial tent pole. A tent pole is, you think about a tent pole where it holds up the whole tent. It's the highest part of the tent. You may have little poles, but you got the big pole in the middle. You become the big pole in the middle, which means that there's nothing holding you up. If that pole is gone, the whole tent goes down. So that means you have to be extremely careful about protecting your resources. You have to be extremely good at saying no. You have to also, this is one thing I did to help with me, because I understand, I empathize with poor Trent. When he said his relatives blew through his money, I empathize with him because Trent is the nice guy. He's a nice guy. And I'm going to tell you what, my whole life, that's what I've been. I've been a nice guy. And I may not always seem like it, but deep down, I care about people. And if I feel like I can help, I want to help. And so what I learned how to do was I actually got people around me who could balance that. My manager, for example, is the meanest, coldest. She can be the meanest, coldest person on earth if she feels that if you're asking me for something that's not in my best interest. If you reach out and you're trying to take advantage or exploit, she'll get on the phone and say, no, we're not doing that. And so I wanted people like that around me to balance my personality, because I was like, okay, boys, you keep being nice, these people are really going to screw you. So I got people around me who weren't so nice all the time, and I also checked myself in terms of just saying, no, I'm not interested. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. But I think at the same time, you can do that, build your wall, while at the same time have some sort of layer of kindness there as well. I think that if you are doing well and you are the one in the family who has the most money, then of course you should help out your loved ones. Of course you should be there for the people who care about you. But I think the problem is that you cannot assume that you have an endless supply of resources. The minute you start assuming that your money is endless is the minute you become like that river where everybody thinks that because it's so big they can keep dumping toxic waste in the river, and eventually people start getting sick and dying because the whole river becomes polluted. Right? Or the ozone layer, the example I gave earlier on that. Everybody thinks that a little bit more carbon ain't gonna do nothing. Well, one day the ozone layer is gone, the ice caps are melting, and all this other stuff that's going on right now. Right? So be a nice person, but learn how to find that balance. A lot of money really is psychological. A lot of people don't want to accept that. They want to think that people who are doing well financially are people who just got lucky. They won the lottery. They had relatives who handed them money. But that's part of the equation, absolutely. But I'll tell you this, if I had to bet on who's going to be doing better financially in 20 years, and I had a poor person who was financially literate and financially disciplined versus a wealthy person who was not disciplined and not literate, I will bet my money on the poor person any day of the week, because a wealthy person who is not financially literate, who is not well disciplined economically, is going to end up exactly where they're headed. They're going to end up broke. A poor person who is literate and financially intelligent and makes good decisions economically is going to eventually accumulate resources. The little money they get, they're going to hold on to it, or they're going to take that little money and they're going to flip it and turn it into more money, and that person will end up doing better in the long term. So a lot of these athletes, that's why you hear about these athletes, many people who have multi-million-dollar contracts who are broker than you, broker than somebody who works at Burger King, because they did not get financial literacy or financial discipline. They only got discipline when it came to dribbling a basketball, throwing a football. So anyway, before I forget, Don't forget to hit the subscribe button or the like button or the share button. Just do something to support this if you don't mind. Please share this. If you know anybody who can use this information and they don't mind a cuss word every now and then, I'm sorry. I'm a real person. I'm not some scholarly nerd sitting in some office. I do have a real PhD though. You can look it up. Feel free to share this with them because they need to hear this. This is real advice. Like a lot of these young guys don't get fatherly advice. They don't have a daddy around them telling them what they need to know, or their coach, or the men that mentor them are usually like coaches, and coaches are going to tell you how to play football, but a lot of these coaches unfortunately don't care about helping you make the decisions in life that are going to lead to success. They're not teaching you how to play the game of chess as a black man in this world. If you don't understand strategic thinking as a black man, then you're going to get crushed, you're going to get destroyed, you're going to get ruined, you're going to get incarcerated, you're going to get killed, you're going to get spiritually and economically ruined, psychologically devastated, to the point where you become like so many of these men out here that are committing suicide very slowly. They're not committing it quickly, because quick suicide is easy to spot. It's slow suicide, like I'm gonna drink myself into a grave, or I'm gonna go have sex with so many women I'm gonna eventually get AIDS, or I'm gonna go out here and just make financially self-destructive decisions to the point where I'm just gonna be super depressed because of all these bad decisions I make in my life. So at the end of the day, if you want to protect your son from all of this, you must get him real, authentic advice on how this world works. There's nothing in this society, nothing in the school system, nothing in media, and nothing at a white university that will prepare a black man for life. Nothing. Nothing. They do not prepare black men to be strong. They do not prepare black men to be capable. They do not prepare black men to be leaders. They do not prepare black men to be independent. That's why in all the cities I'm going to, most of the people that come up to me and talk to me are black men. They're black men between the ages of about 27 and 35. Most of these guys are guys that are just happy to hear a black man telling them the truth. And I'm sitting there thinking there shouldn't just be one of me, there should be 100,000 of me. So I need you in your own family to be that person who goes to those young men and tells them how the world really works. And if you don't know the right words, fine, just send them the link to this video so that young man can see something, and at least he can go through life and not say nobody told him. See, that's the problem. A lot of these guys, they make these mistakes and they say, well, nobody ever told me. Well, now somebody's telling you. Once again, if you want to get started on your wealth building journey, absolutely free, and also get a free e-copy of my book, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Also, don't forget we have the All Black National Convention that's happening in Louisville, Kentucky, September 29th through October 1st at Simmons College of Kentucky. Dr. Kevin Cosby, the president, has been gracious enough to host us there, absolutely free, which is like, makes me happy, because that is expensive as hell, and it's very difficult to do expensive things when people think that you're a bad person if you charge money. Right? There's so many people, again, that goes back to that poverty mindset. A lot of people will say, well, Dr. Boyce, people can't afford $25 to come to your thing. But I'm like, but you spent $50 at Walmart. Like, what? I don't understand. Or you just dropped $45 going to the movies, but you're telling me you can't afford to be a part of something that's really going to benefit you and educate you. Well, that's the mindset. The mindset is that we pay for what we want and we beg for what we need. You have too many people that think that way. And I would just say, look, okay, if you can't afford to go to the movies, or you can't afford a new pair of shoes, or you can't afford to go to the mall when you get your tax refund, then that's fine. That makes sense. But if you're a person that's spending money on things that white folks give to you, why would you not want to be a part of things that black people, authentic black people, are offering to you too, if the price is affordable? So the All Black National Convention is not free. It can't be free. We're flying people in. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars to do everything. But the fee is very, very reasonable, very, very fair, and I guarantee you that it will change your life. In fact, every single class that we offer in the Black Business School will change your life. I guarantee. And if it doesn't, we give people their money back. If you don't feel that way, then let us know. We give you your money back. So anyway, if you want to know about some of our programs for children, we have a program on franchising, how to buy a franchise, taught by attorney Tanya Nebo. We're actually putting together the legal paperwork right now to help our students buy franchise together. And you'll hear me talk about that when we buy the franchise. You can go to theblackfranchiseprogram.com. The first month is totally free. You can give it a try. Go to theblackfranchiseprogram.com. There's a ton of content. We have the Black Wealth Bootcamp. We have a lot of things that can help you no matter who you are and where you are. So feel free. Go to blackfinancialliteracy.com to see everything. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. Okay, so let me go in here and let me finish talking about this story with Trent Richardson. Trent Richardson, as I mentioned earlier, is the brother that used to play for the University of Alabama that went to the NFL. He got cut, and then he went back and looked at his finances and found out that his own relatives were robbing him and financially raping him. Here's what he says. Now listen to this. I'm going to read some of this article so you can kind of see where he is. This is from AL.com. Richardson started working out again last year with an eye toward returning to the NFL. He got a chance with the Baltimore Ravens, but a hamstring problem and arthroscopic knee surgery kept him sidelined, and the Ravens waived him on Tuesday. He never got on the field during training camp. This is a typical story. A lot of the black men, most of the black men that you know, they go to the NFL. Here's what happens to them. If they get drafted, they're very excited. They get a little bit of money, and then they play for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then what happens is that because you're playing against a bunch of muscle-bound giants on steroids who are 300 pounds and run 4.5 in the 40-yard dash, your body is not built to withstand those kinds of hits. So you get the brain damage, of course, but you also get other kinds of physical damage. So within about 2 years, a lot of these guys end up getting injured. And then what happens is they're holding on to the dream. So holding on to the dream means that they're hoping that a team picks them up. They're hoping for an opportunity, so they're working out, they're doing everything to get back together. And then also what happens is that because you're now you're now like the old chick in the club, or whatever. You're basically 24, 25 years old. Your body's broken down, and so just like a horse that has no more value to a jockey, they just want to take you out back and shoot you. So you see with the Ravens, I'm sure the Ravens and other teams raved about Richardson back in the day because he sounded like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of player. When you're a star player at the University of Alabama, you got to be damn good for that. But now they cut him, right? They don't care about him. The other teams cut him. So there is no space for that athlete that's taken 2 or 3, 4 years worth of hits most of the time. Some guys survive. Some guys make it a long time. You got the Tom Brady's out there and the other guys that play a long time. But I've seen so many stories of athletes who end up leaving the sport before their prime, before they hit their prime, because those hits are so damn hard. Again, these guys are all on steroids, so they're literally superhuman, and so that sort of collision is not built for the human body. So he says, I can't let this beat me. I'm going to keep on fighting. I think he's going to keep on fighting to try to get back into the league. He says, I learned my lesson. I've been whooped pretty hard. I like the way Trent is talking about his situation, and I want to make it clear I'm not making fun of this brother at all. I mean, he seems like a young guy, probably younger than 27 years old, and so he's got time to kind of fix everything. But what you see with him with the money is something that happens a lot of times to a lot of people, and it's going to keep on happening. There will every single month, at least, probably every week, there will always be some story about some athlete who had a whole lot of money who lost it all. And a lot of the problem is that because you have a culture now that teaches black men to be financially retarded. You have a culture that really encourages black men to be the biggest economic idiots on this earth, and then everybody want to say that we're broke just because of the struggle. It ain't just because of the struggle, man. I mean, if you got a contract where you're making $1 million a year, you ain't in the struggle no more. You're a person that has an opportunity to get out of it. But the problem is the struggle, though. Here's what the struggle is. The struggle is in the culture, which creates a mindset, a poverty-based mindset that leads you to, no matter where somebody puts you, you lead yourself right back into economic hell. You walk yourself right back into economic devastation because you have been wired to think that keeping it real means refusing to change your habits. You think keeping it real means that you have to engage in the coonery that we're seeing all over the place. And it's straight coonery. Anytime you watch a rap video, you see some dude in the club with stacks of dollar bills, throwing them in the air, pouring out Cristal, the expensive drink that white people sell to you when you're stupid. That all is imagery created, again, by these white and Jewish record labels that are not preparing you to be a strong man, which means that you would have the ability. A strong man is a man who can provide for his family, a man that can take care of himself, a man that's intelligent, a man that's in a good position. If you want to see not economic strength, but just black male intelligence and strength, go look at a guy like a Myron Rolle. Myron Rolle used to play in the NFL, and Myron Rolle was like, this is all bullshit. I mean, Myron Rolle was one of the smartest. That man's a fucking genius. Myron Rolle was like, this is dumb. I don't want to be a part of any of this. He act like he didn't halfway want to go to the NFL. He only went because they were offering him a lot of money, and he was that good. He was an All-American at Florida State. So Myron What this brother did was Myron told them, I don't really want to play right now. I think he got a, was it Rhodes scholarship, and went to London and went to study in London and said, I'll be back and I'll decide if I want to play football. Myron came back, played football for a while, retired early, and now Myron, he's a doctor now. He went to Harvard Medical School, or he's doing his residency at Harvard, something like that. And I just love this guy because he understood that life is far bigger than just football. He also said, to himself and to the world, my brain is too important to let y'all mess it up. I need my brain because I'm gonna need it for the rest of my life. And also, he's gonna do very well economically, better than most football players because he made good decisions at an early age. He understood that he's more than just an athlete. So I think Myron is just such a great template for what athletes can be. There's so much special. You have to be so special in order to be a professional athlete. You have to be the hardest working person in the world, most disciplined person in the world, the most mentally tough person in the world, the most talented person in the world, damn near. I mean, you have to be so special to be a professional athlete. So why does that specialness shut down when you walk off the field? Well, it's because you've been taught, like a lot of PhDs go through this. I know a lot of professors who go through this. You've been taught that you're very, very special and very unique in a specific vacuum. You're taught that you're amazing only when you're on the football field, and that when you go out in life or in the classroom or become a father, that you're mediocre. So what happens is you see black excellence on the fucking field, but you see black mediocrity everywhere else. And again, I say this with the scholars have the same problem, because I knew a lot of the most brilliant PhDs in the world who had genius that you could not believe. I mean, a level of training and expertise in their field that was simply like almost bionic in nature, like they were superhuman. But what would happen is they would be trained to believe that the only place you're brilliant is in academia. The only place that your talent matters is in a university. The only way you can actually get a reward for your hard work is here. So you'll see them going from one university to the next, begging for jobs and these little tiny raises, when a lot of them could go become multimillionaires if they stepped outside of academia. And so they're afraid. They become sort of locked into one line of thinking, one little tiny world, when there's a whole big world out here for them that they could also conquer and dominate with that sort of brilliance. And so with athletes, what I would say to you is, look, if you're playing a sport, if you love your sport, keep being great. If you're a great basketball player, keep being a great basketball player. If football's your thing, then God bless you for that. But never let anybody think that you ain't nothing but an athlete, that you just a dumb job. And never let anybody think that you have to fall into this stupid culture of just the coonery that comes with playing sports and all that. That's destructive for black men. And what's most destructive is that when you're a young black man, you're not just some young kid who doesn't matter. You're going to be somebody's father one day. You're going to be somebody's husband one day. Somebody's going to depend on you to take care of them. And you can't take care of them if you 28 years old with a 5th grade reading level, a busted up body and brain damage because you bet everything on a football career that never happened, when you got a weed addiction and pill addiction because of all the drugs you had to take in order to stay on the field, or you got 5 or 6 babies mamas because you were having sex with everything that moved when you were young, and you're broke as hell because you blew all your money when you had some. Like, it's hard to be a good father in that situation. You can't be. It's hard to be a good dad when you ain't got no education, no money. Your life is messed up, and you created all these problems for yourself. So be smart, make good decisions. Tell other guys to make good decisions. Let's make black intelligence and black responsibility cool. It sounds crazy that I have to say all that. I mean, it's even dumb that I even have to make a statement like that. But it just tells you how backward the culture has gotten. It's just absolutely insane. And so anyway, that's it. I'm not just putting the black men on the hanging rod, and Lord knows ain't none of us perfect. I mean, I've done dumb things in my life, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything. But I am going to say that we've got to challenge some of this. So let's challenge it. And any detractors, anybody who has something negative to say, just tell them, give them the finger, because we ain't got time for that bullshit. So anyway, I got to go, guys. Have an awesome day. And don't forget, I'll be in Philadelphia the weekend of July 7th. So if you want to come out, go to drboycephiladelphia.com. That's drboycephiladelphia.com. The All Black National Convention takes place September 29th through October 1st in Louisville, Kentucky. You can check that out. I'll let you know when the tickets go on sale. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. And thank you guys for hanging out with me early in the morning and listening to me rant and rave. I probably sound half crazy half the time, but I'm glad you're willing to get crazy with me. So don't forget, share this. Oh, some of y'all saying Happy Father's Day. I want to say thank you very much. Being a father is the greatest feeling in the world, and I love my kids a lot. And so I appreciate you guys saying that. All right, have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Peace.